Trams are usually a pretty smooth way to ride around cities, and they're often relatively straightforward. But every now and then you'll come across a network with a boatload of variety that's sure to keep things interesting. Let's explore one of the more interesting urban tram networks I've ridden in Zagreb, the capital of Croatia. As a first-time visitor to Croatia and as someone who does not speak Croatian, so sorry for any mispronunciation of this video, figuring out how to get around on the Zagreb tram network wasn't actually too hard. Buying a ticket, however, was a different story. Now perhaps you'd expect ticket machines on the platform or even on board, but no, you buy your ticket from the driver through a little window into the driver's cab. And these are cash transactions we're talking about, by the way, so there's a 30-minute single-trip ticket that costs 53 cents, and a 60-minute ticket that's 93 cents, not even a whole euro. A day ticket, though, is €3.98, but the driver only had one to sell before running out, so we had to board a second tram to get another day ticket where they hadn't run out yet. It was a whole ordeal that could just be solved with ticket machines. And it was a while ago, but I think the driver just rounded the fare so we weren't handing him a bunch of change to sort through, which is fine. But other than that, the system is easy enough to navigate. And I'm not going to complain about super cheap fares like that. The trams are a super economical way to get around Zagreb. Zagreb's tram network consists of 15 normal lines and some night lines, traversing the city on a network of 120 kilometers of meter gauge track, operating with a variety of rolling stock. And there really is a diversity of vehicles roaming about, which is almost always more fun than having a fairly uniform fleet. Zagreb's first horse-drawn tram ran in 1891, and the network was later electrified. The first electric tram ran in 1910, and was expanded into the system that exists today, which is operated by transit agency Zet, Zagreb Electric Tram. The tram network is also pretty diverse in terms of the urban environments it serves. It runs right through the dense urban center, out to newer, more spread out developments, and even has a line that feels like an interurban. And what better way to explore the tram system than by riding a line in each of these categories? My first and shortest journey is on Tram 13, through the dense central part of the city. From the square at Trg Bana Josipa Jelačića, I travel one stop around the corner to Frankopanska and come right back to where I started. The two vehicles I ride on Tramline 13 are CKD Tatra KT4YU trams from the mid-1980s. Yes, YU as in Yugoslavia. There are some more modern-looking seats, and there's plenty of room for standing on the articulated vehicle. The high-floored interiors look just as boxy as the exterior of these trams, but I enjoyed the ride. These trams are among the older vehicles currently running in Zagreb, and y'all already know that I love old transit vehicles. Now, these are not the most stylish Tatra trams around, in my opinion. Prague's got Zagreb beat on that front in my mind. But these Tatras were still among my favorite trams to ride in Zagreb. Soon enough, I reach Frankopanska, where I catch a Line 13 tram heading back the other direction. Back at Trg Bana Josipa Jelačića, I wait for Line 14 tram. From here, I'll travel to the end of the line at Mihaljevac. I think this looks like a spaceship. I don't know. It's just this is what I think. This like futuristic sci-fi seating that's like not really, but I don't know. Let me know what y'all think. Leaving the square, we start out on urban streets, similar to our journey on the Tramline 13, but we eventually end up running in a median right-of-way. This vehicle is a Crotram TMK 2200 from the mid-2000s, and the interior very much gives that away. It just feels like it's straight out of 2005. But there are some information displays, as well as this sign that reminded me of the iconic announcement sequence on older Washington, D.C. Metro rolling stock.
When boarding, please move to the center of the car.
Soon enough, we reached the end of tram line 14 at Mihajevac. Line 14 trams use a turning loop to head back into the city. But there's another tram line that serves this station as well, and also uses the turning loop, that being line 15. From Mihajevac, line 15 travels north to Grachansko-Dolje. This line is only 5 stops and about 2.6 kilometers, or about 1.6 miles long, having opened originally in 1950. I'll be riding to the end of the line. Our line 15 tram is a Crotram TMK 2300, a newer iteration of the TMK 2200 we rode on line 14. There are digital screens, and the tram was comfortable enough. Leaving early. But it looks like a very uphill tramway here. So to me this seems like a little bit kind of like an interurban, very much so. Unlike the other tram lines I rode, line 15 isn't in a street, but rather a dedicated right-of-way, which makes it feel almost like an interurban line. The stops along this line, though, are about as simple as the other tram stops I used in Zagreb, but hey, they work. Weirdly enough, this line's only a few stops long, so we're already like halfway down the line, basically. But it's like, I'm actually surprised all the announcements in English. We've heard very few English announcements, but reminds me of like a steep Norristown high-speed line type thing. Really beautiful scenery along this line, though. I really wasn't expecting a random tram extension to be this pretty. At the end of line 15, trams use a similar turning loop to head back down the line. And we were actually here to make a transfer to another mode of transit, but the aerial gondolas are too much to cover in this video, so stay tuned for those. After riding said gondolas, we head back down line 15 into Zagreb. And a video on Zagreb's tram network would not be complete without a ride on the newest kind of tram in ZET's fleet, the Končar TMK 2400, which entered operation in 2025, which is when I took this trip. So this tram was pretty much brand new then. And we're actually on line 13 again, though this time along Ulica Grada Vukovara in a very different kind of urban environment than where we were earlier. We only rode a handful of stops, but this section of the line runs in the median of the wide road, quite different from the narrow urban streets of the other part of the line. The new trams have passenger information screens, as well as more modern-looking seats and fare validators. And of the trams I saw in Zagreb, this new type of vehicle had the most interesting livery, mainly because it wasn't just plain blue. Don't get me wrong, it's a nice shade of blue, it's just more fun when you spice up the paint job a little. So that's my experience exploring Zagreb's tram network. I explored more than I showed in this video, and I'm sure I'll still have extra footage left over by the time I'm done editing this video. This tram network ranks among the more interesting tram systems I've explored, given its variety of lines, rolling stock, and urban environments. And the different trams I rode in this video don't even represent every kind of rolling stock in use on the system. Yes, there's more. So as a transit enthusiast, ZET's network ranks quite highly. As a general passenger, some things could definitely improve though. First and foremost, the fare payment system was really confusing to me, even as someone who's familiar with a variety of European and North American transit systems. Again, I don't speak Croatian, and paying the tram driver directly and asking for a ticket just seems like such an outdated method of fare payment. Like there's this little window into the driver's cab where you give the driver your money and you get your ticket. In fact, I think this is the only citywide transit system I have ever ridden that still does ticketing this way, excluding heritage and historic lines, of course. A simple automated fare box at the driver's window would be a massive improvement, or even a full onboard ticket machine, and off-board fare payment with ticket machines on platforms, especially at bigger and busier tram stops, would be an even greater improvement. Furthermore, sections of Zagreb's tram network probably have the worst tram track quality I have ever seen, again excluding historic heritage and museum operations. Yes, I've ridden lines that are overall bumpier and bouncier, but they're not citywide transit systems. Just look at this wobble. It's insane. And the overhead wires often aren't mounted to an overhead pole, they're just attached to another wire. This on its own seems fine, but with the wobble from the poor track quality, it makes me wonder how much it would really take for the pantograph to lose contact with the wire. Oh, and the wobble is noticeable on the inside of the articulated trams as well. As a transit enthusiast, quirky things like this are fun for me, but as a passenger, the wobble should probably be fixed as soon as possible. It's a tram, not a boat. I feel like there shouldn't be this much rocking back and forth involved. But overall, the tram system was easy to navigate as a first-time visitor to Zagreb and to Croatia, and it took me to pretty much everywhere I wanted to go in the city. I really enjoyed exploring all the little quirks of this transit here, and of course wandering around Zagreb itself was lovely. It's a beautiful city and I would definitely recommend visiting. As with every video, thanks so much for watching. Like, comment, and or subscribe if you enjoyed. Let me know in the comments what you think about this really cool tram network, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Enjoy the rest of your week.